there when we are dealing with plane strain. One second. Okay. So similar to just analogous to stress, the strains also at a point in a loaded structure vary according to the orientation of the axis. Okay. So the derivation of these transformation equations, like for example, like in stresses also we have some the strains stresses were defined in some particular location, and we were trying to figure out what is the stresses in an inclined direction. So similarly, for strains also we will try to figure out what, like the strains, suppose in a reference plane the strains are given. Now we will try to figure out how the strains will be calculated along a inclined section, and we are trying to figure out what is the, so first we will define what is plane strain, then we will try to figure out how to define the strain in a inclined section. Then okay, so consider a cuboidal structure, for example, like cuboidal structure with not with a different dimensions along x, y, and z direction, like a, b, and c, and we assume that only the deformations are in the xy plane only. So what does that mean? That deformations are xy plane only means we assume that, just a second. Okay. So there is only, oh, we have only epsilon x, then we have epsilon y, then we have a shear strain gamma xy. So what happens to the other strains? We had epsilon z, that is a strain along the z direction. Then there is a shear strain which is along the yz, and there is a shear strain along xz. So these three quantities I am equating to 0. I think someone's mic is unmuted. Can you mute it? Yeah, thank you. So we are considering a element in which there is deformations happening only in xy plane. It means that there is a it means that there will be two normal stresses, sorry, normal strains. I repeat, it's a strain only. There will be two normal strains and one shear strain. So the normal strain will be the epsilon x and epsilon y. The shear strain is gamma xy. So the remaining strains, it will be, we are assuming it to be 0. So we can see in this figure, this is, suppose epsilon x is the strain in the x direction, then the final elongation will be a times epsilon x, given by this one. Similarly, suppose epsilon y is the strain in the y direction, then b times epsilon y will be the total elongation, this quantity. Then gamma xy is nothing but the angular strain, the change in this angle because of the application of the loads. So we define what is plane strain here. Again, like an element in a plane strain has no normal strain in the z direction and no shear strains in the xz and yz planes. The one which we have defined here, the epsilon z will be 0, sigma y, gamma yz and sigma, gamma xz will be 0. So what does that mean? The plane strain occurs when the front and rear faces of an element of a material are fully restrained under against displacement in the z direction. So coming back to this figure, in this figure we are trying to restrain the deformations along the z direction. As a result, the elongations happening normal to the z direction which is the epsilon z, that will be 0, and along the plane which is perpendicular to z axis, that is yz plane and xz plane, that also will be 0. And also we can say that under normal conditions, ordinary conditions, plane stress and plane strain do not occur simultaneously. But we are saying the term ordinary conditions, but we can create some hypothetical conditions which may not occur in practice. But under ordinary conditions, this plane stress and plane strain do not occur simultaneously. So can you tell me the reason why?
Sir, we saw the transformation equation, sir. So we'll have strain in all the directions. So we cannot restrict it in z and in z direction, sir.
Okay. Okay. So no. Okay. Okay. Simply saying, we can say that. Okay, I'm confused with this because the reason why, because when we compare. Okay, I need to bring this. Okay, first I will explain this one, then I will come back to this. So in plane stress, we had sigma is equal to 0, tau x is equal to 0, tau y is equal to 0. In plane strain, we had epsilon is equal to 0, gamma x is equal to 0, gamma y is equal to 0. Okay, and the remaining conditions may have 0 or non-zero values. Let it be like that. So in plane strain element, when we put gamma is equal to 0, which means like we are actually restricting the deformation in the z direction. As a result, there will be some resultant force developed in z direction, which makes the sigma z not equal to 0 here. But according to plane stress, the sigma z must be 0. So that's why I again repeat, in plane strain, epsilon z is 0. So what does that mean? If strain in the z direction needs to be 0, then we need to apply a resistive force to prevent the elongation in the or deformation in the z direction. So when the resistive force is developed in the z direction, automatically sigma z will be active there. So sigma z will be not equal to 0. In plane stress, we defined that it is sigma z equal to 0. So it is a contradictory. So usual condition, the plane strain and plane stress will not occur simultaneously. Okay. So similar to the transformation equations we have developed for plane stress, we can obtain it for plane strain also. So what is the given things here? Like if there is a epsilon x in the x direction, epsilon y in the y direction, and gamma xy. These are the given quantities, and this will be across the dimension x and y. Now there is another coordinate system x1 y1, which is inclined with respect to the original coordinate system with an angle theta, and we are trying to figure out what is epsilon y1, epsilon x1, epsilon y1, and gamma x1 y1. This is, we need to find these quantities. So what will be epsilon x1 here? Epsilon x1 is nothing but the strain developed along the x1 direction. So consider this figure 1. Okay, figure A, I call it as. So epsilon, so here there is a small element with a dimension dx and dy. Consider this rectangular element with the dimensions width as dx, height as dy, and the hypotenuse, that is nothing but the point from this one to this one. Okay, so it is given by ds. So ds is nothing but square root of dx square plus dy square. We assume that the line joining from one corner to the other corner is along the x1 y1 direction. So this is our x1 y1 direction. That is the assumption we are making. So what are we trying to do here? Okay. We had this element initially, then under some application of load, it got elongated. we are assuming only the elongation in the x direction. Sorry, in the along the x direction. So this was the original. This was the diagonal element. Now what happened to the diagonal element? It got changed to this one. So what we are trying to figure out here is what is the elongation of the black dotted line from the red solid line. So the elongation will be nothing but this much portion. This is the elongation. So this length is dx, this is dy. Okay, put A here, this point be A, this point be B, let this point be BC. We assume that OA equal to OB because the deformations are very small. Then suppose this is theta, then this angle also will be theta. Then what can you say about BC? So this is our epsilon x dx. That is nothing but, okay, I will write AC here as epsilon x dx. AC is this element up to this. So what can you say about BC now? BC will be nothing but AC times cos theta. That is epsilon x dx cos theta. Is that fine? If anyone didn't understand, you can point me now. Hello?
It's clear, sir.
Clear, right? Okay, thank you. So similarly, in a similar fashion, we are trying to figure out the elongation in the y direction. So that is given by here. So the same pattern, like we have a under the action of some load, it got elongated. So L earlier this was ds, and now we need to figure out what is the elongation. So this elongation will be this portion. So what can you say about the theta here? So if this is theta, then okay, this figure will this figure actually, I will show this figure and made it a little complicated. So this angle will be the theta here. So for this quantity is nothing but epsilon y dy. So this elongation along this direction will be nothing but epsilon y dy sin theta. Then so we try to calculate the stress along x direction, that is the normal stress along the x direction, normal sorry, normal strain. Sorry for the mistake. Normal strain along the x direction, normal strain along the y direction. Now we need to find the shear stress along the xy plane. So shear stress along the xy plane is nothing but this gamma xy. So how to find this gamma xy? So can someone say that? What is gamma xy from this figure?
Sir, sir, they have not given the value of the shear length, no, sir. How much length has deformed?
No. For the shear strain, it is always measured in terms of angle, right?
Yes, sir.
So what they are doing here is, we know the length from O to A, this point, but because of this elongation, the point becomes B now. Now the OA has become OB now. So what they are trying to figure out here is what this length, that will be the, because of the application of the load, that will be the increase in the length. So along the shear direction, shear face, along the, that is not normal to the surface, that is along the plane, xy plane. So that will be given by gamma xy dy cos theta. Is that okay?
So can you repeat it, sir?
Okay, I will draw a figure. So we had this one, then on that, because of the application of the shear, there is a gamma xy. Now earlier this was dx, now the dx became like this. So that OAB. So the changing length of the OA will be nothing but, along this direction will be nothing but this length. That is given by, gamma xy dy cos theta. So what is gamma xy dy? Tan theta is nothing but, for small angles, tan theta will be nothing but gamma xy. So gamma xy will be, what will be gamma xy now? Dx by dy.
Shear length. Shear.
Yeah, shear strain. Okay, even I'm getting, yeah, see, okay, my figure is actually the complication creating a, okay, I will explain this one. If this is gamma xy, what can you say about this length? And gamma x, okay, this is our dy. Okay, I should say, suppose this is my PQ by, so gamma xy is nothing but the angular strain, and we say it as the angle change happening because of the shear stress. So gamma xy will be nothing but the angle between these two lines, and that is given by PQ by this line OP, PQ by OP, and OP is assumed as dy here, and PQ, let it be PQ itself. Then PQ is nothing but dy into gamma xy. So this PQ and AB will be same here, PQ equal to AB. So once you get AB as gamma xy into dy, then you can find this length. This portion as gamma xy dy into cos theta. Okay, because this is theta. Yep. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So what will be the total strain happening in this stress element? There will be the total strain is nothing but along the x1 direction will be from the figure 1 we had epsilon x dx cos theta. Then from figure 2 we had epsilon y dy sin theta. Then we had gamma xy dy cos theta. From here we had, so I am just taking these quantities. This is epsilon x dx cos theta, that is along the diagonal direction. Similarly, from the because of the shear strain in along the y direction, we had epsilon y dy sin theta. Then finally gamma xy dy cos theta. We are trying to calculate all the strains along the x1 direction because our inclined plane is along the new inclined plane is x1 y1. We had this xy, then we changed it to x1 y1. And now we need to substitute some quantities for this dx cos theta etc. So what can we do for that? Okay, again I just made a small mistake here. Okay, this is not epsilon x1, this is the total elongation happening along the direction along x1 direction. So I need to find the strain along x1 direction. So this is the total elongation. Strain along x1 direction is nothing but delta by ds. Change along the x1 direction by the original length. The original length we are taking it as ds, the length of the diagonal. So it will come as epsilon x dx by ds cos theta plus epsilon y dy by ds cos theta sin theta plus gamma xy dy by ds cos theta. So what can you say about the sin theta cos theta terms there? From this figure, like just see the figure A. Cos theta is nothing but dx by ds. Dx by ds. Sin theta is nothing but dy by ds. So when you substitute these two modifications into this equation, we get epsilon x cos square theta, epsilon y sin square theta plus gamma xy cos theta sin theta. Right? Then we can bring the cos 2 theta terms here. So finally we will get epsilon x plus epsilon y by 2 plus epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 cos 2 theta plus here there is a change gamma xy by 2 sin 2 theta. So this is nothing but the epsilon x strain along the x1 direction. So this equation is analogous to the stress equation which we have obtained in the previous class, except that there is a 1 by 2 term coming here for the in the third term, because in for the stresses sigma x1 it was coming as sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 cos 2 theta plus gamma xy, epsilon okay,
Tau
sin,
xy.
tau xy sin 2 theta. So here there is a gamma xy by 2. That's only difference coming here. Now, okay. Now then, okay, fine. Not this problem. I will make a simple problem here. Suppose, okay, using this condition, we can figure out what will be the maximum. This is the normal strain, so we can try to figure out on which plane, for which angle of theta epsilon x1 will be maximum. The value of theta for which epsilon x1 can be maximized. So when we take the derivative d by d theta of epsilon x1, then we equate to 0, we finally get an expression like tan 2 theta, maybe tan 2 theta equal to nothing but gamma xy by epsilon x minus epsilon y. And when we substitute this expression into the previous expression, we will get the maximum strains as, let it be epsilon 1 and epsilon 2. Epsilon 1, then it will be epsilon x plus epsilon y by 2 plus or minus square root of epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 whole square plus gamma xy by 2 whole square. Note that when we defined the principal strain sigma 1 comma sigma 1, it was sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau xy square. So this tau xy, it is the analogous part, the counterpart will be gamma xy by 2 in the strain. And similarly we can find epsilon 2 also, that is nothing but epsilon x plus epsilon y by 2. Okay, this is plus, and there is another one minus with the same part. So I just okay, I will just yep. So I will just give a problem. Epsilon x is 0.0006. Epsilon y is nothing but minus 0.00005. And gamma xy, let it be you can take it as 0.00015. So can you figure out what will be the calculate principal strain and the angle in which it is acting? And its direction. It's a simple formula, just substitute the previous one. I'm not calling any names, but still Just try to solve it. What is epsilon 1, what is epsilon 2, and what are the angles? There will be 2 theta, theta 1, theta 2. Yeah, no one here, or what happened?
Sir, the angle is coming 9.46 degrees, sir.
Oh,
2 theta value.
2 theta. Yeah, 2 theta. Okay. So what is theta here now? 9.46 by 2. Coming like 4.7. What about epsilon 1 and epsilon 2? And if you're looking for epsilon 1 and epsilon 2.
Calculating, sir.
Yep. Can you make it fast? Or otherwise I'm skipping it. You can epsilon 1, I think it will 0.0606 into 10 raised to minus 4. 1 will be minus 3.062 10 to the power of minus 4. Just check whether are you getting the same values or not.
Yes, sir, it is the same.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So we okay. Now coming back to this problem again. So what the given things are epsilon x, epsilon y, gamma xy. So this is along this plane xy. We try to figure out what is epsilon x1. Then we can find epsilon y1 just by putting the equation for epsilon x1 at theta plus 90 degree. We obtain this expression, then we can find epsilon y1 by nothing but epsilon x1 at theta plus 90 degree. Then we need to find what is gamma x1 y1. So what is the expression for the tau x1 y1? The shear stress along the inclined plane x1 y1.
Minus sigma x minus y by 2 sine 2 theta plus tau xy cos 2 theta.
Yes. Tau xy cos 2 theta. So here also we can say that gamma x1 y1 is nothing but minus epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 sin 2 theta plus tau xy will be replaced by gamma xy by 2 cos 2 theta. This is an easy way of deriving this part. I mean, no, but actually, if you want the derivation, I can say so what happens to the shear strain when you compare the gamma x1 y1, it is nothing but equal to the decrease in angle between the lines in the material that were initially along the x1 y1 axis. Because when we measured shear strain, what we try to figure out is always we try to find a difference in the angles in only one dimension. Like we measured this angle, so this was coming as the theta, as the the deformation. I mean the change in angle. But when we consider a plane, xy plane, then we need to consider the total shear strain will be given by gamma x1 y1 will be alpha plus beta, where this if alpha is clockwise direction, then beta will be anti-clockwise, or the opposite can happen. So we will try to find what is alpha now. So so in this figure, the alpha can be said as okay. 1 second. This is cos theta. Then epsilon x dx cos theta. Okay. In this figure, epsilon x dx cos theta is the change in the length along x direction. So what is epsilon x dx sin theta here? In figure A,
So that will be the length of the perpendicular that is dropped there, sir.
length of the perpendicular. Okay. And now if you epsilon x dx sin theta will be the length of the perpendicular, and if you take a derivative with respect to ds, okay, I will write it here. Epsilon x dx sin theta is the perpendicular, and I am just taking a derivative with respect to ds. What it will be?
Be tan alpha, sir.
It will be tan alpha given by where alpha is given by this dimension, and for small angles, tan alpha is nothing but tan alpha 1 will be nothing but the same angle, alpha 1 itself. Okay. And similarly, you can find an expression for alpha 2, where alpha 2 is the angle in this dimension, and then similarly there is a alpha 3. So for alpha 1, it will be nothing but epsilon x dx sin theta whole divided by ds. Alpha 2 will be epsilon x dx cos theta. Okay. Give me a second. Epsilon x dx cos theta by ds. Okay. Then alpha 3 is nothing but, okay, coming back to the same figure. Gamma x by d by cos theta becomes gamma x. pen. Okay. Gamma xy dy sin theta by ds. See, earlier in the first figure, from figure A, we calculated as epsilon x dx cos theta there. But now for the length of the perpendicular, we take the sine part. Similarly, figure 2, it was epsilon x dx sin theta, but for the perpendicular, we are taking the cos component. And similarly, for the alpha 3 part, then what can you say about the see, this alpha 1 is in the clockwise direction, alpha 2 will be in the anti-clockwise direction, and alpha 3 is again in the clockwise direction, right? You can, because in figure A, it is getting, the element is getting elongated, so alpha 1 happens in the clockwise direction, alpha 2 in the anti-clockwise direction, because the element is elongating in the y direction, and then finally in the figure C, the alpha 3 will be in the clockwise direction. So the total elongation will be the final alpha will be nothing but minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2 minus alpha 3. And then what? Okay. You can substitute these values here, and then finally, okay, you will get an expression for alpha as minus epsilon x minus epsilon y. I'm skipping this part. You can try to figure out. We can just solve it directly by substituting this expression: sin theta cos theta minus gamma xy sin square theta. So this is the one change in angle along the x1 axis. Sorry, along the x1 axis, this is given by the alpha. Similarly, along the y1 axis, there is a decrease in angle beta, which you need to find out. So how to find beta is nothing but substitute alpha at substitute the theta value in the alpha by theta plus 90. So note that if alpha is anti-clockwise, that is positive, then beta is clockwise, then gamma xy is nothing but gamma x1 y1 will be nothing but alpha plus beta, and the final expression for gamma xy will be given by this expression minus epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 sin 2 theta plus gamma xy cos 2 theta. Okay. Now there is how to calculate the strains in the real field. That's the one thing which you need to always know. We use the electronic instruments called strain gauge. These are like electronic devices which which can measure the strains along one direction. So what we try to figure out is like, so suppose this is a strain gauge. We can place the strain gauge in any, like many combinations. It can measure strains only in one direction. So we can keep it like this. Or we can keep it like this. Yeah, like any combination is possible. So we'll take a small example in this, or we or even, so we try to figure out these strains in 3 directions, and then from that we can find the principal strains or any inclined plane. Suppose this is epsilon A, this is epsilon B, epsilon C. So we had 3 strain gauges A, B, C, and these are kept in a in this specific format, like 45 degree, and this measure, each strain gauge measures the strains as given by denoted by epsilon A, epsilon B, epsilon C. Suppose you have a problem like this. So this is called 45 degrees. Okay. The arrangement. This arrangement is called strain rosette. Strain rosette. So this is a problem which you will be getting in GATE exam or any like civil engineering aptitude as a part of civil engineering firms, or like any questions related to civil engineering frame. A 45 degree strain rosette is as shown. So 3 strain gauges recording as shown here, epsilon A, epsilon B, epsilon C. You need to calculate what are the principal strains, the maximum shear strains, and the planes on which they act. So just compare epsilon. You are given with 3 values, epsilon A, epsilon B, epsilon C. Now compare with this figure. Then what can you say here? Like, you are provided with epsilon A, epsilon B, epsilon C, but you know the equation for the the transformation equation plane. Sorry, the transformation equation for the plane strain as you are given with epsilon x, epsilon y, gamma xy. Then you can find epsilon x1, epsilon y1, gamma x1, y1. This is given. This is to find. These are the things which we have derived till now. And epsilon x and epsilon y are perpendicular to each other. So when comparing these two equations, we can see that epsilon x is nothing but epsilon A here. Epsilon y is nothing but our epsilon C. Then epsilon x1 is nothing but our epsilon B. That means the theta is we are taking as 45 degree. Okay. So from these equations, you can find out what are the remaining 2 quantities. The remaining 2 quantities are gamma x1, gamma x1 y1. Sorry, gamma xy and gamma x1 y1. So we had the expression for epsilon x. We had this expression epsilon x1 is epsilon x cos square theta plus epsilon 1 sin square theta plus gamma xy cos theta sin theta. We'll just substitute here. Epsilon x1, we get epsilon x cos square theta, epsilon y sin square theta plus gamma xy sin theta cos theta. So what we get here is epsilon x1 is nothing but epsilon x by 2 plus epsilon y by 2 plus gamma xy by 2. Similarly, we can find an expression for. Okay. So can you try to solve it now? So what we have to do now? See, epsilon x1 we know. Now we
find epsilon y1 by theta plus 90, sir.
Yeah, exactly, by theta plus 90. So what will you get there now? So you will get one more expression, and then from that you can equate to so there will be 2 equations and 2 unknown. Sorry. By putting theta plus 90, you will get expression for epsilon c also. Then from that you can try to figure out what is gamma xy.
So we will get ex by 2 plus ey by 2 minus gamma xy by 2, sir.
Yes, so this is not E, this is epsilon actually. Sorry that I wrote it like E, but still epsilon. So what will be the final expression for gamma xy? Gamma xy will be 2 epsilon b minus epsilon a minus epsilon c. Did you get this expression? Did you get this expression? Like, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone has doubt on this part? See, we had epsilon x is given by epsilon x is epsilon a here. Epsilon y is epsilon c. And at a theta equal to 45 degree, we are saying it is epsilon b. So we assume that this is our epsilon x1. So from this expression, okay, you know this quantity, you know this quantity and this quantity, and you can find if gamma xy, that will come as this one, and when you substitute theta at so once you are able to find in this once you are able to find these three quantities, epsilon x, epsilon y, gamma xy, then you can find all the remaining quantities. What are the principal stresses? What are the principal strains? The angle in which they are acting, and even the maximum shearing stress and all. Okay. And then again, coming back to the Mohr circle part, we can do the Mohr circle on this problem also. Like we tried Mohr circle for finding the principal stresses and stresses. Similarly, the Mohr circle can be used for plotting the strain graph, and we can evaluate the principal strains also. So when you consider a Mohr circle, the radius was coming as the maximum shearing stress. So when you try to plot strains also using the principal, when you try to plot the strain also using Mohr circle, you will also get that square root term, which will come as this quantity, epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 whole square plus gamma x by 2 whole square. So the maximum shearing strain will be this quantity 1 in the square root bracket. And one more, the last point I want to add is, so what can you say about whether this question, whether along the principal plane for shear stress, will the same principal plane will be, okay, my question is, if you got a principal plane for shear stress, will the plane be same for the principal strain also? I hope the question is clear. The question is nothing but we figured out a principal plane for plane stress problem.
Sir, it won't be same, sir.
Why it won't be?
We'll have an extra ratio of shear modulus and linear modulus.
But it will be 0, right? In that, for plane stress, for plane stress along the principal plane, the shear component will be 0, right? just consider this one for plane stress at the principal plane. Only these two quantities will be there. This quantity will be 0.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And for the plane strain part, what happens there? There, okay, these two quantities will be there. This quantity gets 0. Okay. This one.
Sir, you asked that will they be on the same plane? No, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if we consider the tan 2 theta values for both plane stress and plane strain, we can clearly see that we'll get different.
We can. Okay, you are correct. Yes. That's true. Okay, this I will. Okay, but the point which I want to say is. Okay, that I will clear in the next class. Even I got a doubt now. The way I want to explain. The point you have said is clear because there is a that constant time is missing. The temp 2. So clearly it won't be same. That I will explain in the next class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So I will take the attendance. Yeah, attendance is taken. Thank you. I'm leaving now.